Welcome everybody to DaCat. Thank you so much. As I look out at this amazing audience, I can't help but be reminded that the very first DaCat we did, it was just a space call on X, and that was on February 24th, 2024. And funny enough, if you wanted to buy 100 billion DaCat token on February 24th, 2024, it would cost you all of $230. I know it seems crazy, but seriously, for $230, you could have bought 100 billion DaCat tokens. And but I have a big announcement. At this DaCat, we are going to introduce the DaCat Time Machine. That's right, I know, the DaCat Time Machine. You're going to be able to travel back in time to that very first DaCat monthly space call. And if you want, hey, you can go and pick up some of that cheap DaCat token. So for, $230, you could buy 100 billion DaCat tokens. And then, we'll travel back in time and imagine the profit on that. So everybody stay tuned, and we'll get started, and let's take you back in time to February 24th, 2024. Here we go, everybody. Hold on to your seats. All right. Well, welcome everybody to February 24th, 2024. And can everybody hear me okay? I think people could sort of hear that little bit. Good. I don't have a whole lot prepared for this. I've talked about this concept. Let's start acting like a startup company. Let's behave like a startup company. And you see companies like Apple, Microsoft, they put on these conventions where they talk about what they're doing and they bring people together. And this is when they make announcements. It's when people can talk and plan and see what's going on. But that's the point of this. I wanted to do it around the 1 month anniversary. So every month we could have one of these special space calls, these DaCat cons, and maybe in the future actually have these things happen in real life where people actually get together. It could be in different cities because I know it's hard for everybody to travel. We're a global community. So in the future, we actually get together in person. But for now, we can certainly do this on a space call like this. So thank you so much for joining me. I want to talk a little bit about DaCat Studios. And when we were going to change from Grumpy Cat to DaCat, we could finally create products. We could we had a little more flexibility. We didn't have to think twice or three times about using, a brand that someone might come back at us on. And as we were getting ready for that, I was like, well, what I have to redo everything. What can my brand name be, or what my online personality? And at first I thought it was DaCat Crypto. Like, okay, well, that's kind of sums it up. But, as we got into it and this idea of creating content, whether it was graphic novels, comic books, videos, and you know me, I'm a Disney guy and I like creating stuff. And the concept of DaCat Studios came about where just fostering creative talent to come into our community, encouraging people to come into our community. So that's really what I'm, about. I want to try to get as many creative people and individuals into our community. I want investors, but if someone is just going to, buy some DaCat and just sit on it and wait till it gets to the profit that they want, and then they're going to sell it, that doesn't help us that much as a community. What does help us is when we see talented individuals, motivated individuals going out and creating content. And I see Simon down there, and that amazing animation, that Simon is so great. I know you're still working on it, but it's so engaging. You're sitting there watching this animation, and that opposed to a meme. I appreciate everybody that shills and does memes and tweets. But I don't mean to be blunt about this, but if you've ever been to Vegas or you're anywhere and people are just throwing flyers at you and you hold them for about a second and then they fall on the street, sometimes I feel like that's what the tweets or these AI generated memes are like. It's like everybody's throwing those around at everybody, and people look at them for a second and then they just toss them on the sidewalk and they forget them. But when you create content like that animated character that's actually talking and has a message, or the graphic novel that nobody did, that's more engaging. And I think that's the kind of content that I want to try to engage. I tried to do that with Topsicle, way back when, but those things were so time intensive, and quite frankly, they just didn't get the views that it was worth that kind of time and effort to put into something that really wasn't that practical. And I wasn't so sure it was building our community. So I redirected my energy into doing smaller videos that I could do in an hour or two, but then I could keep using them over and over again. But now that we have our own brand and we can really create this content, we don't have to worry about someone else who has a trademark coming in and funding our project. So that's what I want my plan with DaCat Studios. It's just me, and I'm just trying to get more creative people and reaching out to people to try to get them to come into our community and create, whether it's comic books, whether it's games, whether it's NFTs or clothing or gear or a business, a cat-related business, anything. I always say, if you support DaCat will support you. That you bring these people into our community, and that's hopefully what these monthly, DaCat cons will be, when we can talk about different projects that's going on. Bring people in, and now as we're engaging people and trying to get them to come into our community, we can say, hey, we've got a DaCat con, and the next DaCat con is actually scheduled. I believe it is on I think it's March 23rd. It's the Saturday. It's either March 23rd or 24th. But I'll tweet that out in a minute. But it's already there, and we can tell people, hey, come join us for a cat. Or if we want to get a guest speaker, we can have a guest speaker now. Now that we have a little more time and we can establish this, maybe we go after some people that, have a following or more in line to what we're doing and say, hey, would you like to be on the DaCat Con panel? We have it coming up in a couple weeks, and this is, what we'd like to talk about. But I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I want to do or would like to do and how we can carry those out. And then I can open it up and we can have other speakers. But one of the things I did years ago, and it's been a while, but I used to try to create Kickstarter projects. And you would get a concept and you would put it on Kickstarter. You'd see if people would back it. And if it got funded, then you would execute it. And if there were rewards, you would give those rewards out. And I haven't done one in years and years, but I see a lot of times people on Telegram say, what if we do this? What if we do this? And sometimes it's something that an individual can do, like Chase does Saturday Night Live. So he does that. He puts that all together, and that's his show, and he does it. Other things you might need more, he's like, well, let's do this where we need more people involved. And that's when you have to recruit people, and that's a little harder. But what you could do with a Kickstarter project is if you basically get enough of people to agree on it that it's worth going forward, you can actually set up the Kickstarter project, and then if people want to fund it, they can donate to that Kickstarter project, and then if it gets funded, then we can do it. So let's say we find someone, and the other platform that I want to talk about is Fiverr. And Fiverr is just a place where artists, writers, game creators, business people, they all put their services out there that you can engage with. And if you go on Fiverr, there's a lot of cool stuff. People that make toys, people that make, action figures or 3D renderings of things. They're all out there. And it'd be really interesting, one, just to engage some of these services anyway to get some of this stuff done to promote our project. But also, it would be amazing if we could bring those people into our community and say, look, buy a bag of DaCat and then use your amazing talents to help build our community. And maybe you won't be on Fiverr looking for gigs anymore. Maybe you can actually be retired, if you do it the right way. So the idea is, let's say we go on Fiverr and we find someone that can make a game, but it's going to cost, $300, $800, but it looks like a really cool game. Could we then say, all right, for 30 days, we're going to try to raise, money to get this game made. And then if we make the budget, then we can hire the person to actually create the game and then set it up for however we want to, have it set up for. And again, the other thing that I talk about is that we're all about spreading the brand. That it's not like if I make a T-shirt, I don't want to make money off the T-shirt. I want to make money off my DaCat investment and by spreading that brand. So a lot of this stuff, it's cool if it's set up for free, so you get maximum engagement. And that's one of the nice things about the comic. It's free. People can just go to the website and read the comic. They don't have to buy it. There's no gate. Like if you're just motivated and you want to read it, you can read it. You don't have to pay anything. Like when I list books on Amazon, I wish I could list them for free, but I can't. The minimum for an ebook is 99 cents, and the print books get a little more expensive because you actually have to pay for the materials and the cost of shipping. So those are a little higher. But if it's digital, you can always just put it on a website for free. So the idea would be as we go along as a community this spring and this summer, we can talk about projects that we like, and then we can go to the next stage where we actually set up a Kickstarter page for it, where we can engage our community. But then you can engage people outside of our community too and say, hey, would you like to, support this Kickstarter? And let's say it's going to be a free game that anybody can play online. Or, maybe we want to create an app or, whatever we want to do, we can come up with that project. Or if you wanted, let's say, an action figure of the cat mascot, right? Like someone can actually make these toys or make these figures. We can figure out, well, what's the budget? What do we need? What's the minimum that we have to raise? And we do it. And if you get, contribute a certain level, you can actually get one of these toys but that's the way Kickstarter works. If you get a chance, go to Kickstarter and check it out. I already set up a DaCat Studios. I don't have anything there. It's just the account that you can do. But you can see what other projects and what other people have done. But it's just a way when we talk about these things, how do we make it real? How do we go forward? How would we collect the money? Who's going to spearhead this thing? So anybody can go on Kickstarter and do a Kickstarter. It doesn't have to be DaCat Studios. In fact, the more people that do it, the better, because you can only have one project going at a time. So if we decide we're going to try to make a DaCat game and engage with the creator, and we have that going for, say, 30 days, I can't do under DaCat Studios another Kickstarter project for those 30 days. But if somebody else has a Kickstarter account or they set up an account, they can set up a second or third or fourth project, depending on who opens these accounts. And we can have multiple projects going, and maybe some things take off and maybe some things don't. And maybe some things are small projects that you only need, $50, $100 to do. And some may be larger where you need $1,000 to see it through. But those are the two things that I would ask you to look at. Check out Fiverr and check out Kickstarter as the ways to grow our community. It can't just be us. We have to attract new community members to grow our project and to get more eyes on us. And those are the two ways to do that. The other initiative that I'll talk about is the charity aspect of what we've done. We still have that community wallet with 500 billion DaCat tokens in it. It did migrate. It's there. If you go to DaCat Studios and you find the DaCat Cares, you can click on that and you'll find the link to the DaCat community wallet with those 500 billion DaCats in it. The issue I always had with that wallet is I don't know who signs off for it. I don't know where those DaCats are ultimately going to go. So when I was thinking about approaching charities and they would start asking me these kind of questions, I would not be able to answer them. And I was not comfortable with that. So we never really did anything with the charity. Plus, we always had the other, branding from the trademark holder. Would they ever come in if we started to do something with charity and say, no, you're not going to rip people off in our name to, and exploit these charities for your scam. And I never wanted to risk that. Well, now we control our brand and we don't have to worry about that. So now I'm okay going out and initiating with certain charities to say, this is what we're doing. And are you okay with it? And do you want to be a partner with it? And when the price of DaCat dipped to the lows that it was at, I realized, hey, for, a few $100s, I can create my own donation wallets. And I sort of did the math, and I said, look, if I create a wallet with 10 billion DaCats in it, and we ever get to, about a 40 billion market cap, which is a decimal point, 3 zeros and a 1, those 10 billion DaCats would be worth $1 million. And that's the idea behind the $1 Million Meow. Maybe you've seen, it's a book on Amazon. If you go on the DaCat Studios, and you should be able to find, you can just download it for free as an ebook, just off DaCat Studios. But that's the idea, that we set up these wallets for these charities, and we just say, you don't have to do anything. We're just going to hold, for now, we're going to hold it for you. We're going to hold it in your name. And that way, because the problem could be, it may take a while for DaCat to get to a $40 billion market cap. And if we create a wallet and we hand the key to someone at that charity, we never know if they're going to leave the charity or if they're going to, cash out at, it gets to $300 and they sell everything, or someone sends them some sort of scam thing in their wallet and they click on it and then all of a sudden they lose all their money. So in order to keep it simple, I'm going to create these wallets and I'm going to keep them in my control, and people can see the links. They can see if anything's moved out, just as they can see a link to the shared multi-sig wallet, and see that there's 500 billion coins, DaCat tokens in there, and none of them have moved. They're still sitting there. You can always do an audit of it whenever you want. And that's what I'm going to do for myself. I'm probably going to start with maybe 5 of these wallets, about 50 billion that I'm going to dedicate to this. And I'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm still trying to think through how I approach charities. What's the best way to do it? You want to, what I don't want is to give someone 10 billion DaCat tokens and then have them completely forget about us and never do anything with it or never appreciate it. It'd be good to have someone that's an active member and believes in it, because the more people that are like that, the better the chances that it actually does go up in value. So, does it make sense to look at who has a big following on Twitter, an influencer, in the crypto space? Because obviously we want people that know how to buy crypto, and we could say to them, listen, we're setting up these charity wallets. We'll set one up in your name. We're going to hold it, but we'll set it up in your name. And, we'll let you pick the cat charity, and then we can just hold it for that charity. And right now it seems awfully simple, because right now the value of these wallets, is $20, $30, right? And right now it's not that big a deal. But as it goes up, maybe people start to believe then. And then if we do go up, let's say we hit that $1 billion market cap, and then we go to a $5 billion market cap, that's when these wallets are really going to come in handy, because they're going to create a narrative. And I remember watching Shiba Inu when it got to 4 zeros and an 8, and I kept waiting for it to get over the hump, and it really couldn't. And at that point, people had probably made a ton of money, and they were cashing out. There was also a turn in the market as well, but it couldn't get over that hump. But imagine at that moment, if there were Shiba Inu wallets that were set up, and I know they already did some stuff with charity, but imagine if there were hundreds of charities on the verge of getting $1 million. They were that close away. If as soon as it got to 3 zeros and a 1, these charities would be getting $1 million donation. And let's say there was 100 of them, that would be quite a story that would be happening at that moment. And maybe there would be enough momentum and news to get over the hump of eating that last zero and getting to 3 zeros and a 1. So it's really a long-term plan, but it's a lot easier right now to say, you know what, I'll put 10 billion DaCats in a wallet. It's going to cost me what, $20, $30, and it's just dedicated to there. But all of a sudden, we eat a couple zeros, and instead of $20 in that wallet, it's $2,000 in that wallet, and that's a little harder to make that kind of a commitment. So that's the other initiative that I'm going to be moving forward with, the $1 Million Meow. I'm willing to do it on my own, and it's just one more thing we have as a project that we can talk about. But if other people, once you sort of see what I've done and you can see it, if you want to put 10 billion aside and create a wallet where people could just click that link and they could see the 10 billion, and it's a simple thing, we can add that to the DaCat Cares website, whatever we set up for that. Right now, that's probably just going to be a page on DaCat Studios. However, I do have the website, DaCatCares.com and DaCatCares.org. So in the future, if we want a standalone website, we can do that going forward. It's just once you do that, you have to pay a hosting fee for that. And right now, it gets expensive once you start setting up these websites to have these monthly or annual fees. So right now, it's just cheaper if I just keep it as a page on DaCat Studios. But we'll see how it goes. If it makes sense to have a standalone website for, say, DaCatCares.org, we can do that. And then people can just go there. They can see the wallets. They can see nobody's touching these things. And they're just sitting there, and they can watch the value go up. So that sort of sums up this first DaCat Con. The things that I'm working on is to try to foster and creative talent to come into our community and create content, whether it's a graphic novel, a comic book, just a comic. Like, it doesn't have to be a full blown 18-page comic book. It could be one sheet or just images in this comic style that is going to attract people. And every week at DaCatComic.com, there could be new content. So people keep coming back to that page again and again. Right now, once you've read that first comic that's on there, there isn't really a reason to go back to it just to see if there's any updates. And right now, we really haven't been updating it. So going forward in the future, if not only you could see nobody's comic that he's doing, but then there's other comics, other content there that every day people could be going back to that site and engaging with this content. And while they're engaging with that content, they can see messages about DaCat token, about what's going on in our community, the daily update. They could see a link to that. All that stuff can be added. Right now, it's a very simple website. You just go there. You can read the comic. There's a link to Nobody's Twitter account, so you can keep up with him. And I think there's a link to the actual DaCat, the main website. So that's what DaCat Studios is about. It's about attracting creative talent to come into our community, to create content and spread our brand. Two platforms that we can do that with is Fiverr. That's where these artists are. If you want to go and discover artists wherever, you can discover them at your grocery store, your friends, on Facebook, on Twitter. That's great. Keep doing that. But I know a place where I can go, where I know I can engage with a comic book artist and for a few dollars get their basic service and develop and, go forward, and maybe we set up a Kickstarter project for them. The other thing is, if we want to, raise funds for these bigger projects that I can't self-fund myself, we can set up a Kickstarter project and try to fund it as a community, and people even outside of our community to try and come in and fund it as well and get these projects going. And then the third thing is the charity aspect of it. I'm moving forward with the $1 Million Meow. I'm going to start engaging and finding at least 5 charities that I'm going to set these wallets up for. If anybody wants to join me in this effort, you're more than welcome. If this is just me by myself, that's fine. It's one more thing we can point to as a community that we set up these $10 billion, charity wallets. And then we also have the mothership, the 500 billion DaCat token wallet that we can do.
If you want to hear the complete DaCat Con, the first DaCat Con, you can find that on my Twitter Spaces. If you go to @DaCat Studios, you should be able to find that recording. I'm going to just play the wrap up of it, and we should be having the second DaCat Con on March 23rd, 2024. Again, March 23rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That could change, but for now, that's when it's scheduled. And here's the conclusion of the DaCat Con, the very first one for February 24th, 2024. Thanks for listening.
It would be March 23rd, same time, and I'll put out a tweet on that. So who knows? We'll see where we are with an update on the game, with the comic, the graphic novel, attracting new talent into our community and just growing it and just being the place. This is where the talented, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an artist, whether you're a writer, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're a craftsman, whether you do sculpture, I don't care what the art is, as long as someone can put eyes on it and it can support DaCat. We want you in our community. How many times do you watch these videos where somebody's creating something? They'll start with a block of wood and then they just slowly build it. Something like that being made into a DaCat themed object. People would watch that. That's a value. You may not be able to buy it necessarily, but that's a value because it's putting eyes on something about DaCat, and we would welcome anybody like that, a crafts person, anybody in that. So if there's no more requests, we'll go ahead and close things up. Eli, I'm looking forward to working with you on the game, and anybody that's a gamer, we can bring you into the community. We've already got some groundwork covered here as far as going forward. And nobody, let's keep going. Hey, we're there. We're going to get it done. Nobody, there's no one as talented as you. I saw it from the very beginning of what you do. Never lose sight of that. All I want more nobodies. I want anybody that aspires to be a nobody joining our community. And every week, if not every day, when people come to our community, there'll be new content for them to explore. And it just becomes part of people's daily experiences, checking in with the DaCat people and what's new going on with DaCat. So thanks for everybody for joining us on this first DaCat Con, the monthly DaCat Con. Hopefully one day we really will be at a big gathering, just like they do Mac Worlds and the Microsoft things and all these things where they actually bring these people together. I really hope we do get there one day where we're all physically, in one spot or in several locations, however we do it. But this is how it starts. It always starts at the beginning. It may not get to where you end, but if you don't start it somewhere, you're not going to go on that journey. Every journey begins with that first step, and that's what we did today. We took that first step as a community of artists, of entrepreneurs, of programmers, creators, and even if you just want to support it, you say, I can't draw, I can't do this stuff, but I love what you're doing. We need people like that too. You need to have supporters that will support you in that community. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a great Saturday, and hopefully everybody can come to Chase's space tonight, Saturday Night Live, and listen to the great music that he does. Again, another great creator. He's so passionate about that and putting that music and giving us a place to go. So please just make sure we're there to support him tonight. Thank you, everybody. And nobody, we can catch up in the graphic novel team. I love you, man. You have so much talent in what you do. And I hope I haven't upset you in any way, but just know I appreciate you and what you do. And nobody can replace you. Nobody can do what you do. No one brings that passion. And that's all I want, is to make sure you feel passionate about what you're doing and you support that passion. And I always said it, I'll do whatever it takes to support you. And you know that. I just want to see more nobodies coming into this community. I love the art. I love artists and creators and what they do. I'm in awe of what they do. And, we need some rappers. I want to see a DaCat rapper at some point. So who knows? Maybe we can find a DaCat rapper as well. Maybe they'll be at the next convention. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Saturday. I appreciate everybody tuning in. To the moon, everybody. DaCat to the moon.